Today start with array. Do you know what is array? Do you know what is array? Hello. Hello. Hello, Bonani.
Yes, sir. So it is a contiguous memory container. Like we can we can
Huh.
uh, we
Huh.
can store homogeneous
Right.
data in this in a container that is an array.
Right. Actually, our perspective for data structure course, we will not learn about how arrays is syntax is written, array how array is declared. We will not deal with that. Okay, here more stress will be on the array data structure, insertion in array data structure, deletion element from array data structure, traversing array data structure. Okay, insertion in the middle, insertion in the last, insertion in the first location. Okay, the situation will be like this. Okay, not the how array is declared, how 2D array is declared. Okay, when we perform some program, okay, then only this syntax that you already know in C programming or C++ programming, the syntax how it is declared in array, that is not the issue here. Okay, so array, what is array? Array is a data structure with which we can perform operation on a collection of similar type of data, such as simple list or table of information. All element in the array of the same data type. And all the element either all are integer, all are character, or all are float. Okay. So you told it is a collection of homogeneous data element which are allocated in contiguous memory location. Okay, you told that. That is absolutely correct. So in
Sir,
various
few
programs,
students are waiting.
I wanted to use my laptop today. Now anyone waiting? No. অটোমেটিক সবগুলো অ্যাড হয়ে গেলে হয়ে যায় এক এক করে। Now array, most of the programming language have this feature. Most of the orientation. Okay. Most of the programming language, this array implementation, starting from basic C, C++, okay, Java, Python, okay, most of the programming language, even MATLAB, R, every programming language have this feature. Okay, so in C, array is a collection of similar kind of data elements allocated in a contiguous memory location. So element is stored in a list where this list has upper bound and list has a lower bound. Okay, and in which minimum location it is stored, starting location and ending location, upper bound and lower bound. Total number of element will be upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. Okay, an array individual element is accessed by the subscript or index. Okay, here this array in this slide, 9 element is here. So array size is 9, but in this is the C++ kind of addressing, indexing 0 to 8, but array size is 9. Okay, so total number of element 8 minus 0 plus 1, মানে 9 হয়ে যাচ্ছে. Okay, zero element is stored at the array 0 location. Their individual element of the array called a subscripted variable. Array 0, array 1, all are subscripted variable because using that subscript or index, we can access the element. Array can be defined as a finite ordered collection of item of same type. Okay, so array can be 1-dimensional, 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional. Okay, so up to 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional, we can easily comprehend various operation. Array with very higher dimension is difficult to understand or visualize. So we efficiently handle one-dimensional, two-dimensional, and three-dimensional occasionally you can handle it. Okay. So three-dimensional, one-dimensional array is a list of 5 elements. Is a one-dimensional array. A matrix is a example of two-dimensional array, or a color image. A color image, if you encode the color, if you read the color image in any software, in MATLAB or R, the color image is stored as a 3D array. Okay, in the first plane or first page, red value, R value, second green value, or third G value, RGB, 3 plane of the color image, RGB value are stored in a 3D array of an image, color image. So this is the example of 3D array. I gave you example of 1D array, the collection of some elements. Okay, and 2D array is a 2D example of 2D array is a matrix, any matrix, A B matrix, where 2 into 2, 2 row and 2 column, or 5 row 5 column, M row and N column. You know what is matrix. One dimensional array, as I told you, identical elements. So basic operation is array operation. From data structure point of view, what operation you can perform on one dimensional array or any array? You can perform the traversing operation. Traversing means just going from first to last from the list, in the list. Okay, traversing, checking every elements, traversing, that's called the traversing. An array can be traversed by visiting its element starting from the 0th element to the last element in the list. Processing of the visited element can be done as per the requirement of the problem. Okay, because you need sometime when, for example, why traversing is needed? If you want to find the maximum element in an array or minimum element in an array, or whether if you want to check whether an element is present in the list or not, in a sequential search or binary search, so you need traversal. You have to check every element. Okay, now here algorithm. Now very simple thing, very simple, easy to understand. Algorithm is a keyword. Traversal means you are going to write one algorithm named traversal. It will operate on a array. Array name is A. Third bracket is a symbol of array. Okay, and N is the number of element, number of permissible, number of allowed, maximum how many element you can allow. N is the maximum number of element you can allow. Now description, algorithm, every algorithm should have some description so that reader can understand by reading the description the functionality of the algorithm. The description, A is an array of size n, it is written. Now actual statement number 1 dot. Okay, for is a construct for representing the iteration. For when you are traversing here, you are traversing from 0 to n minus 1 element. Okay, you are printing that element, you are looking that element, checking that element, you are printing. So time complexity only this algorithm is because for loop iterate n number of times, and big O n, maximum this for loop will iterate n number of times. It will never exceed the n because total number of element is n. So here time complexity, as I told you in the previous class, time complexity is the counting of total number of basic operation in terms of the input size that I told you earlier many times. So here you are actually counting the how many times for loop is iterating. When for loop is iterating, that means indirectly you are counting the basic operation inside the for loop. Okay, and that time complexity expression where it is, what it is big O n. It is n function. It is a function fn here equal to n, capital N, gn actually, gn. Okay, in the previous class I told you time complexity expression is approximated by time complexity expression function is fn, which is approximated by a function gn. That gn is upper bound of your fn function, and notationally, it is written big O n. Clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So only this thing you need not to worry about too much complexity part. Okay, how complexity of every algorithm is calculated. For the data structure course, this little complexity statement or what will be the complexity, this understanding is enough for this course. When you read you have actually three courses throughout your 4 years. You will cover three courses. One is data structure, and this data structure course will be your prerequisite for the design analysis of algorithm that you will read in the next semester. And then another course, advanced data structure, advanced analysis of algorithm. Okay, one analysis of algorithm is included in your 4-year syllabus. Another course you will read, you will cover, that is advanced algorithm. So in all these three courses, this complexity will be reiterated many times. Okay, so for this course only knowing the complexity and this kind of understanding how this complexity is written, why it is big O n, because for loop is iterating in number of times, and inside the for loop basic operation, one basic operation is occurring n times. That is why its time complexity n. This amount of understanding is enough. Okay. Now insertion of an element at a particular position. Okay, this is the hello.
Sir, someone is waiting outside, sir. Please join.
Oh. Okay, 45 student. ওই কারণে আজ আমি ল্যাপটপটা ইউজ করতে চেয়েছিলাম, বলিতে অসুবিধা হয়, হলো না ল্যাপটপটা। Insertion of an element at a particular position. Okay, here in this slide, what is shown, one array is here and sixth element is here. Sixth element is already stored. Two location, two position is empty, two position empty. Okay, so array size is n, capital N, and all number of element occupied position is a small m. Okay, so total number of element is capital N, can accommodate. Okay, but now at present element number, total number of element is a small m. Okay, now to insert at the particular position, suppose you have to insert element, insert 40 at the location 4 location, মানে 0 element first location যদি normally ধরো 1 2, মানে at the 3 location you have to insert the element 40. So what you need to do, you need to right shift the element position at the 4th location, one position right shift, and you will make one room, empty room for newly inserted element, and then your job will be done. So here this thing is done. At the location of the element 50, actually 4th location, you are right shifting all the element 50, 60 and 70. 3 element is right shifted one position, and then one empty room is empty, and in that position you are entering 40. Okay, now total number of occupied element is increased by 1, a small m, now a small m plus 1, but total number of element which can accommodate here is capital N, that is unchanged. That particular dimension is known to the compile time for any programming language. Okay, for array problem with array is that you have to declare the size of the array before at the compile time. Compile time machine should know the size of the array, and in runtime you cannot control the array size. You cannot increase or decrease your array size using this array. Okay, there is another mechanism, that is dynamic memory allocation, that I will come later. There is a way, but for array you have to initialize the with array size, maximum number of element can accommodate. You have to initialize at the very first time, initially. Now now this insertion of an element at a particular position, this logic is captured in this algorithm. Okay, now this is your concern. This is your concern. Insertion at position is a algorithm name. You are inserting in the array name A. Array size is n. You are inserting element which is represented by VAL, val, and in which location, that is represented by LOC. Now, as usual, for every algorithm, always try to give some precise description before writing any statement of the algorithm. Here description: A is an array having an elements, val is the value or to be inserted at the location 0. By reading this, anyone will understand what is the purpose of this algorithm. Now, starting, you are checking your location is greater than n, capital N. If it is greater than capital N, that means you are exceeding the location. So insertion is not possible. You have to exit. Okay, this provision should be included in your algorithm. Okay, if this situation uncautiously you enter the location which is greater than the total number of elements, then your program should not should terminate properly. Okay, that is why these two statements should written 4.1 and 4.2. If this condition is not satisfied, then second instruction written in 2 will be executed. Okay, for you are just right shifting element one position. Okay, you are right shifting one element. Okay, you are right shifting the last element n minus one element one position right. Okay, and you are making one room after this right shifting, and your for loop will end at lock minus one. You are not iterating from last to first, starting from last element to the LOC minus one. Just see carefully this, and you are making one room in the LOC position, and after this one right shift, one room is created, and there you are assigning your VAL value, and now the total number element is increased by n plus 1. Okay. Now deletion of an element from an array. Deletion means you have to specify the location. Okay, and you have to left shift one position after the deletion from a specified location. You have to left shift all the elements which are situated at the right hand side of the deleted element. So here is that algorithm. You have to memorize this algorithm, the write an algorithm to delete an element. If this question comes, you have to write this set of statements. Okay, if you are uncautiously put an location which is the beyond the range of the array, maximum element of the array, then you cannot delete. So these two first one is in the instruction number 1 to sub instruction, that provision is there. And for instruction 2, you are just left shifting one position. Okay, you are deleting element from location. So all the element which is at the right hand side of the location, one position left shift will happen. Okay, so I starting from LOC. So LOC plus one element will be now placed to the LOC. LOC plus 2 location element will be placed now LOC plus 1. Okay, in this way, left shift will occur and element from a specified position will be deleted, and total number of element will be reduced by 1. So time complexity of the algorithm is written at the end. So maximum this for loop will iterate big O n. It will never exceed this amount of iteration. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Oh. Now another crucial thing that is important not for only semester exam, also for your GATE exam. Okay, sometimes this kind of short question or MCQ comes your semester exam, will come in your semester exam. Address calculation. One array dimension will be given initially to you, and you will be asked to calculate the address of a particular element. Okay, for example, here one single dimensional array is shown, 5 elements is there. Now logical view, actually memory we user for the sake of our understanding, we visualize array is an one dimensional array, two dimensional array, three dimensional array, multi-dimensional array. We interpret in that logical way, but actually in memory array is stored in sequential manner, either row wise or column, row major order or column major order. Okay, physical storage of the array is different from the logical view of the array. We are comfortable with the logical view of the array, 2D 1D, 2D, 3D. Okay, but actually যখন physically it is stored in the memory, it is stored in a one-dimensional fashion. And one-dimensional fashion, sometimes two-dimensional array, how converted to one-dimensional array? If row major convention is adopted, row major convention, মানে first row will be stored, then first row will append second row, after the second row, third row will append, then fourth row will append. In this way, a flat 1D array will be created from 3D array. Similarly, 2D array. Similarly, from 3D array, in 3D array, what are there? 3D array, 3 plane are there. So every plane you can assume as one page. So page number 1, that is a 2-dimensional. In a 3D array, one dimension is you assume as a page. First dimension 1 page, second dimension 1 page, third dimension another page. Okay. Page wise, every single individual page is 2-dimensional. The 2-dimensional will be converted to 1-dimensional. Then another page that is 2-dimensional will be converted to the 1-dimensional, will be appended to the previous 1-dimensional. Okay, in this way, 3D will be converted to 1-dimensional. So here in this logical view, actual physical address of A is 100. This is assumption 100 address. If character takes 1 byte, okay, then the B is stored in the next address, physical address 100 plus 1. Then C is stored in 100 plus 2. Okay, this is all the physical address. In the right hand side, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the logical address written. Okay. Now, for one-dimensional array, what kind of question may come? Then array element is stored in a contiguous memory location by sequential allocation technique. The address of ith element of the array can be obtained if we know the starting address, that is also called the base address, denoted by B, capital B. Size of the ith element in the array denoted by W, on a word size, it is also called the W, capital W means the word size. মানে every element, how much memory is required to store every element there. 2 bytes, 1 bytes, 4 bytes, 8 bytes, 12 bytes. Okay, that is the word size. For example, normally in integer character takes the 1 byte, integer takes 2 bytes. Some books, some compiler allocate 4 bytes for the integer. Okay, some allocate 8 bytes for the float. Okay, so this varies upon the compiler to compiler. Okay, so address of the ith element in the one-dimensional array is calculated from the base address plus location minus lower bound, whole thing is in bracket, into word size. Okay, for example, here the address of the fifth element in this, here address of the fifth element. Okay, fifth element is the starting address, is the lower bound. Lower bound means the starting address. Logical lower bound is 0 and upper bound is 4. 0 minus 4. Lower bound is okay into B plus I minus lower bound into W. Now here 2-dimensional array. 2-dimensional array is represented by A, M, N. Represented array A where M is the number of row and N is the number of column. Okay, here total logical, now row major order of representation in the actual memory. This is for your understanding, but when it is stored in the memory, it is stored in this way. If row major fashion is taken, row major means first row is stored 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. means first row of element is stored. Then second row means 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. Okay, so row wise, row major order, the element are stored here. And see the left hand side, the address. Left hand side, the address. In the column major order, first column, in the first row, first column, in the whole array, the first column will be stored first. First column means 0, 0, 1, 0. Here it is 0, 0, 1, 0. Then second column means one column 0, 0, 1, 0. The column is order. First column, then second column 1, 0, 0, 1, then 1, 1. Then third column means 0, 2, 1, 2. Now the formula you have to memorize or you have to understand this formula to calculate the address of a particular element in two-dimensional array. The address of I and jth element is base address plus I minus LB, or LBR is the lower bound of the row into n. N is the size of the row, total number of row of the array. Okay. And J hoche index for which you are finding J minus LBC. LBC means the lower bound of the column. Whole thing is in a third bracket multiplied with W. In the bottom, one example is given. You are going to find the address of AI12. Okay, A12. But in this two-dimensional array, total number of row is 2, m equal to 2. Total number of its column is 3. In this array, 2 into 3. In this array, 2 cross 3. In this array, you are planning to find the address of A12 elements. So then what to do? You must know the lower bound of the row, starting row number and ending row number. Ending row now is upper bound of the row and lower bound of the row is starting 0. Row number start with 0, column number start with 0. So LBR and LBC is equal to 0 in this formula if you put it, and every element here is stored in a W equal to 1 byte. If you deal with the integer, W can be 2 or 4. So address of 12 element is 105. 105. Okay, 105. It is a 12 elements. 1, 2. Last element. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So here, this is the more understanding here. B plus why I minus LB into n. Why I minus LB into n? Because in every row has how many column? Every row has a n number of column. Every row has n number of column. Every row has n number of column. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Why I minus
Yes, sir.
I minus LB into n? Why this term is written? For example, here you want to calculate the address of 7. Slide is visible to you. You want to calculate the address
Yes,
of
sir.
7. So you have to reach up to the element 6. So element 6 how কতগুলো আগে রো কে তোমাকে স্কিপ করতে হবে, then you will first start in the element row number 7. Okay, so that is why I minus 1 number of row in every row. How many elements? In every row n number of elements. Column number
N number of
elements. So you have to skip that amount of element. After that, you are adding in which column? That is
J.
That is J minus LBC. Okay. After skipping the I minus LB ব্র্যাকেটের মধ্যে into n number of elements, now you are targeting J minus BC location. The whole thing is multiplied by W. I think this is clear. Now for the column measure order, this is the row measure order counting. Column measure order, you have to skip the column. How many column? Okay, here J minus LBC into M. You are skipping. Actually, you are every calculation is column wise. First element, 0 0 elements, then 1 0 elements, then 2 0 elements. You are going column wise. Okay, you are counting column wise. So you are adding the address number of byte taken in every element of a particular column. Then after that column, next column, then next column, then next column. Okay, so that is why in the third bracket, in this expression, in the third bracket, J minus LBC into M. J minus LBC number of column, you are skipping in every column. How many elements? Row number of elements. In every column, how many elements? In every column, row number of elements are present. Am I right? In every column, how many elements? Row number of elements. Row number means here M. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I will give you another example. Sorry. Just a minute. Is this visible? Is this slide visible? Hello?
Sir, can you zoom in a little bit?
Now?
Yes, sir.
Here one example is taken. Okay. Here W equal to 1. In the previous example, W equal to 2, anything. Here W equal to, assuming W, this actually particular example is taken from the web. Okay, I kept it as it is. So here the address calculation of an ISJ element, here formula is this, n I minus 1, এখানে 1 হচ্ছে lower bound. Okay, in the previous example it was LBC, LBR and LBC. Okay, here they have directly written the 1 means a lower bound, and assuming that here given an array, array কি লেখা আছে এখানে, for example 1.5 comma 1.7, মানে here starting lower bound হচ্ছে 1. Okay, for both column and row, 1 is the lower bound. So directly that 1 is written in the formula. Okay, here starting address, base address is 900. Okay, so here column measure order, J minus 1 will be multiplied with the M. M is your row number. Okay, you will actually, I will provide this slide in Google Classroom. You will minutely see it, you will understand. This is just like a previous. Here W equal to 1. In 3-dimensional, just now, this is your very critical example. You must memorize or understand whatever. Okay, you understand first, then memorize. Okay, for your semester exam or for your GATE exam. Okay, 3-dimensional array, the formula of an element, the address of an element which is situated at I, J, K. In this location means what is the interpretation of I, J, K? Mane your element is present at ith location, ith row, jth column in kth page. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Your
Yes, sir.
element is present in ith row, j number of column in page number k. Okay, so to calculate an element which is present at page number k, so you have to skip the k minus 1 number of page to reach to the k number of page, kth page. So you have to traverse the k minus 1 page. Now in every page, how many elements? M into n elements. Am I right? In every page, how many elements? M into n elements. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That is why base address plus m into n into how many pages you are skipping, k minus 1 pages you are skipping. Now you have after this two term, b plus m into n into k minus 1, up to this two term, where you have reached? You have reached to the just kth page, k number of page. You have just landed. Now in that page, after how many row, after skipping how many row, I minus 1 number of row you have to skip. In every row, how many elements? N number of elements. And in which element then, after skipping how many row, now you are landed in the k number of page. In that page, after skipping how many row, you will reach to the jth element. Now whole statement is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you understand that, and you have to memorize this. I will provide this slide to you, and here beside the formula and example is given. To know more about it, you can see the chapter in Samanta, Devashish Samanta books. I have provided its soft copy in Google Classroom. The Devashish Samanta book written by Devashish Samanta. There one chapter is array. In that array, there are many address calculation example, and more explanation is given there. Okay. For your further reference, I am referring that book. Okay. Just a moment. Now we are now know how to calculate the address of 1D, 2D, and 3D. Now traversing on one dimension, the two-dimensional to know more about the matrix. Okay, this is a 3x3 matrix. Here is a code to traverse a two-dimensional array. In the previous slide, you saw traversing one-dimensional array. Here you are now traversing two-dimensional array. Two-dimensional array means matrix. Here two for loop, one traversal. A is a two-dimensional array. Number of row is capital M. Number of column is capital N. Now description of the algorithm. A is an array of size mn. This is the fashion of writing any algorithm. Algorithm keyword, name of the algorithm, and all possible parameter which will be used inside the algorithm. You first figure out that what will be the parameter will be used in my algorithm. You have to first figure out that, and then you are passing that parameter, and then if possible give the small description or precise description, not too much paragraph writing for the description of the algorithm. Just keep it simple or precise for presenting the description of the algorithm. Here that description is given, and after that write the actual statement. Like the actual statement here, two for loop. First in row wise, and for every row you are traversing row wise for every row. Now in which column, the second for loop, and you are just printing or any operation here in 1, 1, 1. This is printed jaga you can perform here any multiplication or any operation you can. So this traversing operation. So here clearly two for loop. The two for loop maximum can operate n square time. Are you agree with me? Total number of operation, basic operation,
Yes,
1, 1. This
Yes,
will
sir.
be executed maximum n square time. It will never exceed n square. Never exceed n square. So that this upper bound is captured by the mathematical notation big O n. So one thing you should always remember, always big O n, when you look at the big O n, one term should instantly come in your mind, that is the upper bound. Okay, big O n associated with the upper bound. মানে maximum, never exceed that amount. We go and capture that. Actually হয়তো এটা কি বলতো, actually যদি if you want to calculate its time complexity, এটা হবে হয়তো 3 into n square plus 5, এরকম একটা কোন এক্সপ্রেশন এলো, মানে that is function fn, মানে you are now approximating that fn by a gn which is n square, মানে you are approximating one function by another function. That is why it is asymptotic notation. Asymptotic notation means approximating one function by means of another function. The purpose of it, discarding some irrelevant details, মানে অনেক মাইনিউট ডিটেলস আছে যে ডিটেলস গুলো তোমার কম্পিউটেশনের মধ্যে রাখার কোনো দরকার নেই, সেগুলো যদি রাখো কম্পিউটেশনের মধ্যে তাহলে অনেক কমপ্লিকেসি অ্যারাইজ করবে, বা সেই লিটল স্মল ডিটেলস গুলো হয়তো মেশিন ডিপেন্ডেন্ট, সেগুলো তোমার দরকার নেই, কারণ ইউর অ্যালগরিদম অ্যানালিসিস শুড বি মেশিন ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট. দ্যাট ইজ হোয়াই uses of this notation, why we use this notation. I think is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Now insertion of an element in a two-dimensional matrix, insertion of elements, just like a previous algorithm, insertion was in 1D, here insertion in 2D. Okay, when a two-dimensional matrix is allocated, when it declared, then you are just using a scanf or input, you can insert element one by one. Similarly, the two for loop, so time complexity here is big O n square. Now matrix multiplication, one operation is performed, you can on the matrix, two matrix, one dimension is 2 cross 2, another dimension is 3 cross 2. Okay, now 2 cross 3, প্রথম A, 2 cross 3 and 3 cross 2. Okay, now here this C into AB, here one summation term, k equal to 0 to k equal to 0 to k equal to n, k equal to n means number of column of first matrix or number of row of the second matrix. So ik into bkj, bki. Okay, bkj হবে ওটা bkj হবে, ঠিক আছে. To calculate the ij element of the resultant matrix, to calculate the address of ij element of the C matrix multiplication matrix, it address will be I comma k, k comma j. Here it is written, the matrix multiplication logic is written here very clearly. Okay, m minus 1 and q minus 1, this will be the dimension of the resultant matrix. Okay, the inner for loop k equal,
দেখা যাচ্ছে না. Okay, sir.
okay. So here what is written here, matrix multiplication, first matrix A has a dimension m into n, B has a dimension p into q. Okay, so resultant matrix dimension will be m into q, where here n and p will be equal, n equal to p, n equal to p. Okay, so third, the inner for loop has the iteration number of p minus 1 time. p minus 1 কেন, এটা হচ্ছে তোমার c এর সিনট্যাক্স হিসাবে ধরা হয়েছে, মানে স্টার্টিং ফ্রম 0, এই কারণে -1. তুমি যদি অন্য এখান থেকে 1 থেকেও শুরু করতে পারতে, 1 to p, সবকটাই মানে সবকটা যে i স্টার্টিং ফ্রম 0 to m minus 1, তুমি এটা না লিখে এই অ্যালগরিদমে তুমি এভাবেও লিখতে পারতে 1 to m, যেটাও লিখতে পারতে 1 to q, আর কেটা লিখতে পারতে 1 to p, তুমি এভাবেও লিখতে পারতে. এখানে স্টার্টিংটা সব 0 থেকে ধরেছে, সেইভাবে এই কারণে এইভাবে লেখা হয়েছে, ঠিক আছে. Okay, is this steps, every steps is clear?
Yes,
Anyone? And now time complexity of this algorithm is 3 for loop is here, it will never exceed nq. So this is all about the array from the data structure point of view. What are the various operations you can perform on the array? Now for the practical point of view, for practical experiment, what you will perform in the lab, insertion deletion at a random position, at any random position. Okay, and traversing, matrix multiplication. Then another thing, variable number of row, variable number of row creation of an array, or array unknown number of row creation during runtime, and that's mean dynamic memory allocation. Mane in a practical experiment, list of practical experiment, I have given few exercise to create an array to delete from random location in 2D or 1D array, and to create an array of unknown size. That's mean you have to create dynamically. To create an array with variable size of row, মানে first row এতে element আছে 3টা, third row element আছে 5টা. মানে is it possible actually? Is it possible using dynamic memory allocation mechanism? Okay. Now we start the dynamic memory allocation, because the dynamic memory allocation is very important. Just a minute. Now, is this slide visible to you? Is this slide visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, give your attention. Very important. Actually, to learn practically the data structure subject, you must first clear your pointer concept. Dynamic memory allocation, you must know how to write malloc, how to write calloc, how to deal with the single pointer, how to deal with the double pointer. Okay, you should have some kind of expertise to deal with this data structure codes practically. Okay, if you do not comfortable with malloc, calloc, or single pointer or double pointer, then I cannot give you the guarantee to understand practically the data structure. So my first suggestion to refresh your idea about the single pointer, double pointer, malloc, calloc, realloc, free. Okay. So dynamic memory allocation, how to handle memory dynamically, and especially double pointer, single pointer, array of pointers. First, refresh your idea first. Then come for the data structure, because when you create the linked list dynamically, you have to create the linked list. Okay. When you create the tree, you have to dynamically create the node of the tree. Okay. When you perform the stack operation you can perform using array, or when you use array for the stack, you have to face many limitations. But if you use the dynamic array, then the stack will be flexible. Growing or extraction or contraction of the stack will be easy for you if you can handle the stack using dynamic memory allocation. So dynamic memory allocation is the basic of your practical understanding of the data structure. For the books, I will recommend you the Pointer in C written by Kanitkar, or one books Master in C, one books, I can't remember the author name, C.D. Raman, no, Master in C, you just type the name Master in C and Master in C++, one Indian author, I can't remember his name. Master in C is a very popular book. Okay, so most popular book is Pointer in C written by Yashwant Kanitkar. Okay, if you follow the array with pointer chapter, many numerical example is there. Array of pointers, single pointer, double pointer. Then it will be very easy for you to understand practical concept of the data structure. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, is the author K.R. Venugopal?
Venugopal. Right. Venugopal. অনেকদিন আগে করেছি মনে নেই। K.R. Venugopal. Master in C to clear the concept of pointer. Okay. Now the dynamic memory allocation, the theoretical part of it. When you write one program and when that program is executed, the operating system on behalf of you, on behalf of your program, allocates some area in the memory. Okay, when it is operating system who allocates, and you giving instruction to the actually operating system. Operating system will allocate the space for you for your program. Okay, now the memory area, operating system visualize the whole memory area for executing your program into four way actually. There are four portion operating system interpret the memory area available to operating system into four logical portion. One portion is for storing the code, another portion for storing the static variable that is declared or used in the program, another static and global variable. All the static and global variable which are in your program will be stored in a particular zone of the memory, and that zone is named with the global variable area. Another portion of your program, another program of the memory which will be used as a stack. Okay, the name of that portion is a stack portion of the memory which will be used for function call and local variable. And for every function call, whatever will be the computation, that computational part, function return address, function activation record, function frame will be stored in that particular area of the memory. Okay, so that I think you are seeing the color of the memory area here. This, I think this is visible.
Yes, sir.
Stack. Okay, green color. And another area is called the heap. Heap. Okay, as a user of computer, the whole thing is a memory for you, but operating system logically visualize or interpret the memory area in this way for when at the time of execution or during the time of execution of your program. Another area is heap. That heap area actually variable area. It can extract, it can expand. Okay, it can okay, depending on the needs. Suppose sometimes it is very difficult to know in advance how many participant will come. ঠিক আছে, মানে তুমি একটা প্রোগ্রাম করেছো, একটা কাউন্টার খুলেছো, how many customer will come you don't know in advance. Just you have opened one one counter in a mela, book mela. You don't know how many customer will come a particular day. But your purpose is to keep the entry of every customer. Okay, if you write one program, okay, you have to either one way you have to declare a very large array, 1000 array, but in that day দেখা গেল only five customer has come, so there is a huge wastage of the space. Okay, so to deal with this situation, you don't know actually in advance how many customer will come. You don't know the size of the array in advance. There are many situations. So in that case, dynamic memory allocation is suitable. So as per your needs, dynamically the array size will be allocated. So for that, heap area is used by the operating system. Okay, so now in this slide, can you visualize this slide? One small fragment of program code. Can you see this? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Now this program, now I will analyze how this program actually, various part of this program, how actually placed in the memory. Okay, during the time of execution. Here first header file, then in total. In total is a variable, global variable. Now as I told you, the global variable or a static variable has some particular region of the memory where it will be stored. Okay, it is a blue color area in this slide where it will be stored. Okay, so see the slide here. See this slide. I think it is visible. Total is there in the blue. Total is stored in the blue color region. Now after it, execution will start from the main. So main itself is a function. Main itself is a function. So main function call will be handled from the stack. Main function call will be handled from the stack region of the memory. Stack region of the memory. So main function here, green color box. Green color box is representing the stack area. So main is written there, and A and B inside the main. A and B is the parameter that is used inside the B. So that main function name along with parameter is written there. Now inside the main, which function is called a square of sum. Now a square of sum function now again will be inserted to the stack with the parameter x and y and z. In the next slide, it is shown. A square of the sum is inserted in the stack area of the memory. Now a stack of the sum again will another call is a square. A square of the function is again calling another function, that is a square. In that square function definition, there is one parameter x, okay, and that is written here, square. So main function call the square function, a square of some function called square. So after the computation of the square and a square of sum, value of total will be computed, and after that printf function will be executed. So printf function again will be put on the stack. These two function is computed. Value of total is now obtained in this slide. Value of total is obtained. Now when the function of a square of sum and a square is computed, that function will be vanished from the stack. Okay, that job is done for that function. Job are done for this function. Execution are done for this those function. So that will be removed from the stack. Okay, and after it, the result will be shown through the printf. Printf itself is a function, and printf will be pushed to the stack. Printf is shown here in the stack area. After that, after the printf, main will exit. Main will see the arrow symbol in this slide, in the middle slide. Okay, so stack is empty. Okay, program execution is done. So here, last in first out, but in the stack area, function which is inserted last executed first. So limitation of the stack here, this is different slide. It is not here function D, function C, function V, function A. This kind of function calling can be stored in the stack area. But limitation of the stack, because the stack area is fixed, it can grow. Okay, operating system actually allocate a particular specified size from the memory which is treated as a stack for the execution of a particular program. If more space is needed in the stack, then there will be a problem. A stack overflow will happen. So limitation of the stack, to avoid the limitation of the stack, your allocation, your program should have some provision to allocate something dynamically. Okay, suppose you have written one program, there you have not done anything dynamically, but your program is lacking some clarity, or your program is crashing due to the shortage of the space. That means you are only dealing with the static global area, code area, and stack area. And suppose you have declared very large array, and that large array will be stored in the stack area. If it is a globally, then a static and global area, in these two portions it will be stored. But if your array size is very high, you are dealing with the few array, not only one array, 2, 3 more, the same kind of array, very big size array, then your stack area may not accommodate that large size array. So in that situation, you have to cleverly write your program differently so that heap area can be used. Okay, so allocation in the heap area, deallocation is, heap area can be used. Okay, so heap area also called the free pool or store of the memory. It is a free area. It can be grow or it can be compact. Okay, contract. It can contract or it can grow depending on your need. So to deal with the to interact with the heap area, you user operating system you give you the interface through malloc and calloc. Operating system is giving interface through malloc and calloc to intervene or interact with the heap area. You programmer can interact with the heap area through malloc calloc. Operating system is giving you that facility. Then malloc calloc syntax probably you know. Malloc calloc. Okay, malloc actually you have to pass the data type malloc. First, you have to actually malloc return type is void pointer. Malloc return void pointer. Okay, malloc return void pointer. So to write the syntax of the malloc is that void pointer star void star bracket close malloc starting bracket. Okay, starting bracket 5 into size of int means pasta element allocate one space which is equal to the 5 integer. So 5 into size of int. Okay, size of int here, size of char, size of float, size of double, size of your struct data type. M into size of data type. This is the syntax of the malloc. Okay. When you execute that malloc statement, it creates a single largest block. Okay, in this single largest block, okay, garbage value is initialized. Garbage value remain there. When you allocate a space from the memory using malloc, the by default value is there is the garbage value. But calloc, same space you can allocate through calloc, but calloc will subdivide this space into data type. Suppose 5 into size of int. If you pass this parameter 5 comma size of int, void star bracket close calloc bracket start. Okay, calloc bracket start m comma size of int. Interpretation of it, declare one space in the memory and return the first address of that location, which is a void type. You can typecast it in int. Okay, int star ব্র্যাকেটের মধ্যে int star ব্র্যাকেটের মধ্যে দেন ব্র্যাকেটের বাইরে calloc ব্র্যাকেট start m into size of int মানে m number of integer space will be created on the memory whose first address will be returned to a particular variable. This is the calloc definition of the calloc. Okay. Now calloc initialize the location of the memory by 0. Okay, calloc initialize 0. Malloc calloc difference is very important, crucial for your exam. Okay. Now calloc or malloc can fulfill the same purpose, but calloc is a little bit slow because it initialize the location by 0. Calloc is equal to malloc plus memset function. Memset function you just write down. Okay, you can read more from the internet or from the books. Okay, for the initialization it do some extra job. That is why calloc is little bit slow, but that slowness will not be discernible to you by while you are dealing with the program. That difference you will not feel. Okay, for the sake of the distinction, you must know that how malloc is written, how calloc is written, how single largest block is allocated by malloc, how multiple block of same size can be declared using calloc. That definite distinction you must know. Realloc, function of the realloc is that sometimes you are allocating particular portion of memory area, but later you realize that you need more area. but that more area will be your previous area plus some area. Previous area plus some area. In that case, reallocation is necessary. So your reallocation parameter will be your address already, your allocated space already created by malloc-calloc, whose starting pointer comma newly demanded extra area. Okay, that is the idea of realloc. Free is used to free up the memory area. Actually, heap area giving you that flexibility to declare or to allocate memory as much as you want. But there is one shortcoming of heap area. If you do not cleverly or efficiently use that heap area, then some problem may arise. You are allocating some space. After your operation is done, after your job is done, you have to explicitly free up that area. Otherwise, that area will be occupied. You will not find more area if it needed. So after use, free it with the free function. So that is the purpose of free function. Okay, now with the help of a small example, step by step, you will understand how the malloc-calloc allocate space in the memory. Okay, here, hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. All are you
Yes, sir.
getting?
Yes, sir.
If you do not understand, then interrupt me.
Okay, sir.
Okay, dynamic memory allocation. Now using the small fragment of code. Now I will analyze it. Here has included the two header file is written. No issue. In this slide, inside the main, int a equal to 10. A equal to 10. Now you tell me, int a equal to 10, where it will be stored in the memory? In which portion of the memory it will be stored? It will be stored in the stack area of the memory. Okay, this green color, see that this color portion, green color is for the stack. Green color is for the stack. Okay, so your main int main a equal to 10. This particular description of the variable a is stored in the stack area. Okay, now we are adding another two statement in this slide. We are adding another two statement. Int a equal to 10. Next statement, int star p, an integer pointer, semicolon. Next statement, p equal to 1. This is one way of writing. This is one way of writing the malloc. What is written here? In first bracket, int star malloc size of int. Now, what is the interpretation of it? Actually, malloc is creating one space in the memory. Okay, malloc is creating one space in the memory. Okay, and that is whose size is equal to the size of int. Only one, it is equal to the size of one integer. If you write here 5 into size of int, then it will create an array of size of integer 5. And first integer corresponding size. Now, here, look at this right-hand side diagram. Look at the right-hand side diagram. Int p is a variable which is at the stack p. A stack p equal to 200 2 equal to 200 is written. But p equal to 200, but 200 is a location which is actually taken from the heap area. P 200 is an area which is actually allocated in the heap area. Okay? Am I right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
200 is a location which is actual location is allocated from the heap area, but its reference is from the stack area. P equal to 200. Okay. So this understanding is important. Okay, now see what happened next. Now p equal to 15, star p equal to 15. See this slide. Star p equal to 15. After allocating a space in a heap whose reference is in a stack, Now you are assigning value to that area, that is 15. So 3 line, the interpretation of this 3 line, int star p, next line p equal to that malloc statement, and then star p equal to 15. In 3 statement together say this thing. The one space will be allocated in the heap area, whose reference will be in the stack area, and assignment will be done in the heap area. Okay, now see the next statement. See the next statement. Once again we have called malloc again. Okay, malloc again, and then the starting address of that newly allocated area, malloc is called again. So when malloc is called again, malloc will create another space from the available space from the heap. Malloc will create the space from the available space of the heap. From that available space of the heap, malloc created one space whose address is now 100. Aage chilo 200. You know, 100. Now that is assigned to the variable p. Now p star p equal to 220. Now you are allocated new space and you have assigned there p 20. Now what will be the previous space which was allocated in heap? Because you are using the same variable p for referencing that heap area. That is why you cannot come back to the previously created space. Okay, so this concept is called the memory leak. And your p is now pointing to the address 100. Your p is now pointing the address 100. So how you will come back to the address 200? Because you have not written any other statement in between. If you write the q equal to p, then if you allocate the p equal to new space, then it is okay, because q is keeping the reference of 200, but you have not write anything like that. So you cannot reach anyway to the previously 200 location. So that area you cannot reach further. So that is the memory leak. Okay. To deal with this, here we have added one more statement in between two malloc call. We have added one statement free p. Mane you have allocated the first malloc. You have assigned hello 15 there. Now you no longer need that space. So free it up by free function. Then create another space and use the same variable p. No issue. So memory leak will not happen here. Is this thing clear to you? Is this clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, this is another in this slide. Just look at the p equal to int star malloc 4 into size of int. Okay, malloc 4 into size of int. So here you are creating a space of equal to 4 integer size. You are creating a space which is equal to 4 integer size. Okay. After creating that space, you are assigning value there directly. P0, see the notation. All these notation are equivalent. P subscript like array like subscript 0 equal to 10. This is similar to a star bracket p plus 0. Okay. 2A element has been assigned there. But here in the main, in the right hand side diagram, after main p equal to 150, mane the whole address, the whole array which are allocated in the heap, whose base address is 150, which is referred by p from the memory, from the stack. Okay, that is the point I want to just. The similar kind of thing is now in C++. In C++, the counterpart of malloc and calloc or free is the new and delete. Malloc, calloc, and free. This three function is used in C programming language. The counterpart of it in C++ is new and delete function. The same task is done by the new and delete. So similar, I will not explain it. Okay, it is self-explanatory. This, okay, it is written here using just new and delete. Okay, now another portion is this slide. Now dynamic 2D array allocation in C using single pointer. How you allocate a two-dimensional array dynamically. Okay, what you knew? You knew how to declare a two-dimensional array statically, using array m into n, array 10, 10, array arr, third bracket 10, third bracket 10. You are declaring an array whose name is arr 10 in the third bracket, and then 10 two-dimensional array of 10 in 10 cross 10 size. That is the way of the C++, C or C++ array. But dynamically, you cannot declare the array in that way. Dynamically, here using one dimensional 1D pointer, one single pointer, just you need a two-dimensional array where number of row will be 3, number of column will be 4. Okay, so total number of element will be 12, 3 into 4. Now you know two-dimensional array actually stored in the memory as a one-dimensional way. Two-dimensional array actually stored in the memory as a one-dimensional array. So total you have to create R into C number of space of where each space is of size of int. So your malloc inside the can you see this slide? Can you see this slide?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
int in single star array equal to int star malloc R into C, this number of R into C number of elements where each element is of type size of int, int type. So this space will be created in the memory. After creating that space, when a space creation is done, then you can use that space as usual your static array. Now after creating that space, okay, now what will be the value of ARR? ARR will hold the first base address of your array. A base address of that array. The array which has the R into C number of elements, it has some starting address. That is starting address is called the base address. The ARR will hold that starting address. Now if you add I and J properly there, then you will navigate to the ARR IJ location. So to access the ARR IJ any location, here 4 line is written: int IJ count 0 for I equal to 0 to I R I plus plus j equal to 0 semicolon j less than C j plus plus and r I into C plus j equal to count plus plus count or anything. You can here write down the scanf statement also. Here we are just initialization to initialize something in that array. This fourth statement, star bracket ARR plus I into C plus J bracket close equal to plus plus count. This statement is written customized. You can write your customize operation here. You can write your customize instruction here. Okay, which access that location. Only creation is needed. Array creation is done by malloc. You know the base address. Now how to indicate, how to access a location. That notation is the left hand side of this expression, last expression. A star first bracket ARR plus I into C plus J. This is the notation of accessing a location. Now in that location you can assign one value, or you can take the value using a scanf there, or you can assign there any random value there of the same integer type. It should be obviously integer type. Okay, that is my point. After this assignment of initialization, whatever it is, now you are printing that value. That means you are creating a space for the 2D array. You are initializing or you are doing something on that array. Now you are presenting the value, you are displaying the value on that array using the next to for loop. Next to for loop. And here one statement is written slash star code for the further processing and free the dynamically allocated memory. After doing all these things, you have to clearly free up the memory area. Free bracket ARR. Otherwise, this portion you cannot reach out that portion if you further need a space. Okay. Otherwise, memory you will deal with memory leak. You will face the memory leak. So free up that space is necessary. So now all this code now diagrammatically can be shown here. Inside the main ARR 200 is the base address of the space which is created actually in the heap area, and that space amount is R into C. R into C is the amount of that space where every entry is of integer type. Can you see that diagram? Can you see the diagram?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I think this is clear to you. Now, these are creation of one two-dimensional array with the help of single 1D pointer. Single pointer. Now, if you use the same thing using the double pointer, now same thing will happen. Same thing will be achieved with the help of double pointer. Now see the malloc call here. Here two times malloc has been called to do the same thing with the malloc. Now one statement is I can give you here. A 2D array is a collection of 1D array. Are you agree with me? A 2D array is a collection of 1D array.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If this is the statement, then you will create the single 1D array, and every single 1D array has some base address, and that base address will be assigned to somewhere. Suppose you have a array which has the m number of row. Okay, just visualize it. You have an array which has m number of row. Okay, now you are creating one single dimensional array. Where entry of this single dimensional array will hold the address of one dimensional array, base address of one dimensional array. বুঝতে পারলে? First malloc is creating one dimensional array. How many entries there? The number of row of that two dimensional array. How many row? Suppose five row will be in your two dimensional array. Then first malloc will create one dimensional array where total number of element will be 5, where each element will hold the base address of another one dimensional array that is not created yet, but that will be created very shortly. In the second for loop, after the first malloc, second for loop is creating one single dimensional array individually and taking its base address and assigning it to the previously created two-dimensional array reference address reference space that is assigned there. Okay, ARR. What is ARR? ARR is a one-dimensional array which hold the address of 5 one-dimensional array in 5 entry. Is this clear to you? I think.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the way of use of 2D to double pointer and array of pointers. So your one array whose actual element is the address type. That is why in the first malloc statement, the malloc in the first malloc statement R into size of int star. I into size of int star. Okay. In the first malloc, first bracket R into size of int star, not size of int. Mane in this space created by malloc, the element nature is the address type, not any normal element. Element interpretation of the element, it is a kind of address. And the kind of address to represent that here size of int star. not size of int. But in the second malloc statement, you are creating the actual 1D array of 2D array. Okay, whose element will be the actual element. That is why you can size of int in the second malloc. So this thing of this distinction you must realize, you must understand very carefully to deal with the malloc in your data structure program. Okay. So after this creation, now normally you can access the array, the second two for loop. Normal array ij is a similar notation, you can access that. And next to for loop, you are just printing or displaying that value. After that, one statement is written, do something and free the space by free. Now all these things together, is now in this diagram. Now here inside the main ARR equal to 300. 300, your starting location 300, just see the heap space. In the 300, there are 3 consecutive location. In 3 consecutive location, in one consecutive location, 600 is written, another location is written the 800, another location is written 100. In the 600 address, there are one row is stored, whose size is total number of column. I think it is clear from this diagram. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, suppose when you are dealing with 2D array, 2-dimensional pointer, now if you directly free the ARR, if you free ARR means 300 will be removed. A space allocated starting from 300 will be removed. If you free ARR, if you perform the free ARR, that means a space allocated starting from 300 to consecutive 3 location will be free up. But a space allocated originally and the 100 location, 600 location, 800 location will not be free. Okay, so that is why you have to cleverly free up this space. First, you have to free up in this way. You have to free ARRI. ARRI means ARR 0, ARR 1, ARR 2. First 100 will be removed, then 600, 800 will be removed. Then finally, after this for loop, you are free ARR. So whole array which is created in the heap space and whose reference is in the main memory, stack area will be removed. Now clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. After dealing with now the same thing is via interpreted via new and delete. You will just our few slides are remaining, few left. I just quickly go through that. Now so what you knew first? You knew how a program is executed using a stack memory area, code area, heap area, and you saw the limitation of a stack area. Okay. Now limitation is stack area is removed by the concept of heap area. Now heap area has some disadvantage also. Heap area also has some limitation, and you must know that limitation and how to remove that limitation. Okay, this is the crucial point where linked list will start. Why linked list? Why linked list? You will read in details. Okay, why linked list? The question, answer of this question, you will be convinced from the discussion. Okay, the limitation of this dynamic array is that, for example, this is your horizontal view of your heap area. Okay, horizontal view of your heap area. Suppose you are declaring int star p int 3 integer. You need the space for 3 integer. Now each integer is taking 4 bytes. So the red marking area is allocating the 3 integer where each integer is of 4 byte. So space allocation is done here. 12 small space is occupied here. Is this clear to you? Is this clear to you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Space allocated. So 12 location is occupied by this single statement. Next statement, float. you are declaring one float. One float is taking 8 byte. So 4 into 8, 12, only up to 20. Up to 20, you will now buy another color, another space is occupied. Okay, now you are again allocating the space for the 4 integer PQR. So 4 integer 16 byte will be next taken. 16 byte will be taken. So 16 byte from 20 to 16 byte to 236. 236 up to 236 location is now used. Are you agree with me? Are you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes,
now
sir.
you are free. Now here you have written free Q. Now you have free the Q. Q means the one float value which is allocated using 8 bytes. So 213 to 220, this space is now empty. Now how much space is left for you? The 8 room here, 213 to 220, 8 room is here. 8 are in the right hand side, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Total 13 empty room is here. Okay, 13 empty room is here. Now you have decided to allocate after this free operation. You have decided to allocate 3 more integer. One integer is taking 4 bytes. One integer is taking 4 bytes. So if you needs to allocate for the 4 integers, how many bytes will be required? 12 bytes. 12 bytes is required, but you available number of room is 13. You need 12 number of space. You need 12 number of empty space. 13 number of empty space is available. Instead of that, in spite of that, you will not be able to allocate because that 12 number of empty space is not contiguous. They are scattered. This 13 space is in 2 area of the memory. In one area, 8 number of empty space. In another region, there are 5 space. So this together is 13 space. But to allocate an area for the 12 bytes, you need contiguous 12 byte area, but contiguous 12 byte area is not available. So if you have that area, but you cannot allocate here. So this is the limitation of heap. Are you convinced? Are you convinced?
Yes, sir.
So you cannot use that area. So solution is the linked list. Solution here is the linked list. If you allocate memory area in the memory with the help of linked list concept, then this situation will not arise. Okay, how? For example, you are storing 7, 10, okay, 5. You have stored all these elements. Okay, now only problem here is that you cannot, as per your needs, wherever one single space will be available for you, wherever a single space will be available for you, you will allocate memory there. You need not to take one space which is contiguous for some elements. You need not require one space which is contiguous for 5 elements. Only if one space is available to accommodate only one element, if a space available to accommodate one single element, there you can store one element. Anywhere in the memory, wherever in the memory, if you get any single space for single element, you can allocate that. Okay, here the 7, 5, 10, 9 all are stored in that way. But here problem is that you cannot.
স্যার
হ্যাঁ,
সরি টু ইন্টারাপ্ট, বাট আমাদের একটা ক্লাস আছে, তো একটু তাড়াতাড়ি শেষ করে দিলে
just
সুবিধা
এই দুটো স্লাইডে শেষ হয়ে যাবে।
ওকে স্যার।
ঠিক আছে, but here you are allocating all the elements here and there, but here you cannot go from one element to another element, okay, because there is no linking part. So if you store the element value and another extra information here, 7 এর পাশে কি লেখা আছে 222, 222 is the address of the next element, মানে 10, okay. Now 5 এর পাশে কি লেখা আছে, 5 এর পাশে লেখা আছে 233, 233 the address of the element 9. So in this slide, beside storing the normal content of the element, a particular space is also holding the address of the next element, okay. So this physical representation, মানে element along with some address, element along with some address, element along with some address, that address actually is not of that element, it is the address of the next element to where to go. So this kind of arrow showing you can reach from element 7 to element 10, element 10 to element 5, element 5 to element 9. So logical view of this is 7 to 10 you can reach, 10 to 5 you can reach, 5 to 9 you can reach. So this is the node of the linked list. So a structure now you can declare in your array. This is the last slide, okay. The struct node int val struct node star next means देखो here node data type is struct node data type is struct node, but inside this definition there is also a struct node similar kind of data structure, মানে struct node is a data type, inside this node you are declaring struct node star next, okay. Those you are referencing the similar kind of data structure. This is called the self-referential data structure. You should write down this statement, what is called the self-referential data structure. Self-referential node is this definition is self-referential data structure, মানে you are defining a node data type, inside that node data type there is a one pointer of the similar kind of data type, okay. মানে one node is indicating another node, the type of that another node is the similar of the previous node, okay. So this is a self-referential data structure. So this is the starting point of the linked list. Why this node, মানে why we write the node in the memory in this way instead of allocation in that way, okay. So I think you are convinced. If you have any question you can ask me. This is the last. Hello, any question? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the last slide. This was the last slide. I would like to end here today. As usual, you will forward me the attendance, updated attendance, okay. Oritro provide me the attendance sheet every day. Oritro, you are
Yes,
requested
sir.
to send me, okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Definitely.
I think you have understood all the slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will upload it this slide, okay, very soon, okay. Today I would like to end here, okay. Thank you for your
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
okay.